Hi there, I'm Yang Rui. China and Nepal are committed to building higher level ties across the Himalayas, and Nepali Prime Minister K Sharma Oli's 5-day official visit to China aims at a wide range of cooperation areas. Meanwhile, India may have good reasons to be concerned at the potential loss of political and economic influence in Nepal. So what do upgraded China-Nepal ties mean? How will Nepal deal with its two giant neighbors? And what new elements will be added to Nepal's future development as it widens its horizons? To discuss these issues and more, I'm very honored to speak with His Excellency K Sharma Oli, Prime Minister of Nepal. That's our topic. This is Dialogue. I'm Yang Rui.
Khadga Prasad Sharma Oli, more commonly known as KP Oli, is the current Prime Minister of Nepal. He is also one of the two chairmen of the Nepal Communist Party, formed this year by the merging of the unified Marxist-Leninist and Maoist Center Communist parties. Oli began his political career in 1966 and joined the Communist Party of Nepal in 1970. He became involved in subversive politics and was arrested for the first time that same year. Oli was eventually imprisoned for 14 years, from 1973 to 1987. In February this year, Oli was re-elected Prime Minister after the Communists won the elections. This is his second time to serve as Prime Minister, his first being from October 2015 to August 2016. He is now in China for a 5-day visit, the first trip to China by a Nepali Prime Minister in his second term. Oli previously visited China in March 2016 during his first tenure as the leader of Nepal.
Welcome to Dialogue, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much.
This is the first time for you to be in China after getting re-elected. What's your agenda here with the Chinese counterpart?
Main agenda is to contribute to strengthen our age-old friendly relationship between our two countries and people. After the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1955, we have very good relationship in many areas, multifaceted and multidimensional areas. Before that too, we had historical relationship. We are connected with the mountains, rivers, and so many other things, as well as culture, language, and there are so many things. And in the present time, we are in a new era with a new and common shared destiny, as the Right Honorable Excellency President of China, Xi Jinping, said. So this time, of course, there are a few agendas when I am here, but more than other agendas, strengthening friendship, heightening it, is the prime agenda.
To my knowledge, the newly elected leadership in Nepal vows to turn Nepal into a developed country by the year 2030, and that's only 12 years from now. It will be a very difficult mission, and do you believe China is likely to be the most important business partner? In what areas will China make its investment?
Of course, China is a very important economic partner, business partner, development partner. And it is possible, as you asked, that we have not very long time. We have 12 years about. Within 2030, we want to reach that goal. And we have some prerequisites fulfilled. We have majority government established, and thus there is stability. And that stability is not only the stability of numbers, but the stability with vision, with program. We have vision, we have program, we have planning, and after the promulgation of the Constitution and creating a majority government, completing all three tiers of governments and elections, we have now concentrated ourselves on the issues of good governance and development. So, visionary government, majority government, a stable government, and committed government to work for the betterment of the nation and for the betterment of the people, and to meet the targets within the time. And in this regard, China's assistance and cooperation is most important, because China, when China, some 40-50 years before too, when China was not in that much stronger position economically, even then, China was supporting Nepal wholeheartedly, openly, and now China is in good position. Secondly, we have experiences, and the policy of China, under the leadership of Excellency Xi Jinping, Belt and Road Initiative, and through the Belt and Road Initiative we can develop and expand and enhance our economic ties in different areas. During my last visit, when I came here in the March of 2016 for the first time as the Prime Minister, and at that time we reached on some far-reaching agreements, very important agreements like transit and transport agreements, Trans-Himalayan railways, Trans-Himalayan transmission lines, connectivity, and other areas as well. Those are very important, and to implement those agreements and explore new areas of economic development and cooperation are equally important.
Given the traditional influence of India, a very important neighboring country of yours in South Asia, could we expect Nepal, a country so friendly to both India and China, to play the role of a bridge connecting the three major economies so that we can really translate this idea of Nepal, India, China economic corridor into reality?
Yeah, of course, we can. And you can see the developments in the recent times. In past few weeks or months also, you can see that President Xi Jinping and the Indian Prime Minister Modi ji met several times, and they had very cordial talks, and they contributed to normalize and bring back the friendly ties between two countries. And the areas of misunderstanding which were in the past, they meaningfully reduced, and they built trust. So I think, and you can see the development also in Nepal, that if there were any misunderstanding or tensions between Nepal and India before, those misunderstandings and tensions now are over. There is no...
Excellent. We are all impressed by the dynamics of the very important strategic dialogue between President Xi Jinping and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, given the frequency of their dialogues in Wuhan and Qingdao, on the sidelines of ICO. The issue I'm most interested in at the moment, Your Excellency, is why did you choose New Delhi instead of Beijing as the first foreign country to visit after being elected for the second time as the Prime Minister, unlike before? When you first got elected, the Prime Minister, you chose China instead of New Delhi. And your first choice 2 years ago, of course, aroused a lot of debates among the media players in India. This time around, you changed your mind and the schedule. Why?
That is not a question of any rule.
Okay.
That is the situation of both countries, between China and Nepal, between India and Nepal, to make preparations for the visit, and the arrangement of times of the leaders and their schedules. These factors are most important, and there is no rule that which country must visit first.
Domestic politics is one thing. The other, I'm afraid, is the faith, the ideology itself. This year marks the 200th anniversary of Karl Marx. I just came back from his hometown, Trier, in Germany. There have been debates about what Karl stood for 200 years ago, more than 1 century ago. I'd like to have your interpretations about communism as an ideology. Is it still influential in some quarters of the world, or you have revised much of the theories that Karl and his comrades stood for?
We are not dogmatists. We do not copy others. Do not borrow the experiences of past times, and we do not just stick on those failure ideas and models. We are creative. We implement scientific ideas, Marxist philosophy, and scientific ideas for social change and social management. So we are not copying Russia or Eastern Europe or others, but the desire of equality, desire of peace, desire of prosperity, desire of fulfillment of the fundamental necessities as the creatures or human beings are immortal. They cannot be changed. People want security, people want better life, that people want justice, and they want to live a prestigious life. That is the essence. And for that essence, experiments are made in different parts, different times, but the conclusions are a society which is justified, equal, which provides justice, equality, prosperity, and fulfills the aspirations of the people.
Well, I'm afraid that the mandate and the mission that you elaborate, for example, the issue of justice, good livelihoods, prosperity, peace, they are what social democrats in Europe stand for. So I don't see any big differences between the faith of the Nepalese Communist Party and European democratic forces.
Who differs with these ideas which I said? Who doesn't want peace? Who doesn't want? I differ, of course, with them who differ with these things. Where Karl Marx said that society should be based on disparity, not equality, unjust, unrest there must be. Where Karl Marx said? Karl Marx founded the theory of justice, equality, prosperity, and rights of children, equal right for women, social justice and equality. All these are prescribed by Karl Marx. And of course, during these 200 years after his birth, which we celebrated just before, prove that validity of Karl Marx, as you asked, is still relevant, but I think it will remain always more stronger, not only relevant, but inevitable.
Thank you so much. You are watching Dialogue with His Excellency Mr. K.P. Sharma Oli, the newly elected Prime Minister of Nepal. We are honored to interview him during his official visit to China after he got re-elected recently. Stay with us, we'll be right back. welcome back, Your Excellency. At least for the Chinese, if they come to understand what Nepal means in their vocabulary, two things help it connect our two countries. One is Mount Everest, the other Buddhism. Now, each year, Chinese in their thousands would prefer to climb Mount Everest, and Nepal has provided a lot of assistance. Can you let our viewers understand what you are doing and what you can do to help Chinese tourists not only conquer Mount Everest but also protect the environment?
Of course, we have declared 2020 as the tourism year, destination Nepal, and just this morning we opened the logo, declared the logo of the tourism year 2020. And of course, mountaineering is a hard job, hard thing that people, everybody cannot go over there because of altitude and because of the mountains are not only high, but there are so many other hardships to climb up. And in this regard, cleaning of the mountains, the mountaineers go there and just throw the waste things, and there is a little bit pollution. We want to clean, and we have declared that to the year of next year, Mount Everest Day will be celebrated as the Clean Everest. That from now on we'll start a campaign to clean up the Mount Everest.
Is it you who hosted a cabinet meeting on the mountain hillside in the middle of the mountain to highlight the importance of environmental protection?
Yeah, it was done before once, some 8 years before it was done. And we are thinking if it is necessary to draw the attention of the global people, we can organize that sort of, but we have not decided yet. But we have already decided to clean up the Mount Everest.
And do you think Nepal will benefit the most from the climate change pact that was reached in Paris, and the United States has pulled out of this multilateral framework in improving the environment and the world weather?
We are conscious because the origin of environment, particularly origin of climate, are mountains and rivers and the ocean. And if there is interlinked relationship between mountains and the ocean, the effect of the climate change, which we are facing nowadays, is because of the sea are going to be polluted, and because of the pollution in the sea, the cloud goes with acid, and acidic rain from the acidic cloud rains at the top of the mountains, and snow, acidic snow rains, and it cannot exist there, and that affects the climate change very seriously, very badly. So I would like to draw the attention of the stronger, bigger countries and the countries who have sea and who are, perhaps I mustn't say, but polluting the sea. There is no contribution of the countries like ours. We are one part of the climate and environment, like we have mountains, but we have no sea. And we have, if we do not protect our mountains, if we do not maintain and keep the mountains able to contribute for the environmental protection, then it will harm the global environment.
The Chinese government says over and over that we'll honor our commitments to the protection of the weather. And the next thing, or the other thing that connects Nepal with China so closely over centuries is Buddhism, a faith. Now, a few years ago, a devastating earthquake took place, destroying many symbols of Buddhist temples or facilities. Can you brief us on your efforts in rebuilding those architectural symbols that would provide believers of Buddhism with a very nice place and venue to worship their faith and their God?
I don't think so, because there was an earthquake in the April of 2015, and that earthquake destroyed more than 9,000 houses and so many temples, cultural heritage. Not only this or that, but all.
All were destroyed.
Yeah, were destroyed, and we are reconstructing. And there is no that sort of feeling that somebody knowingly destroys the Buddhist any structure or anything. There is not that sort of feeling or anything, and such things are not happened.
Irretrievable loss must have been inflicted on Nepal due to the earthquake. Have you received any relief fund from an organization such as the United Nations or UNESCO?
Yeah, we received support from different countries and organizations, and mostly from perhaps China. China is the largest one perhaps, and after that other countries and organizations also, and to reconstruct the cultural heritage. They are whether related to this faith or that faith, that doesn't matter, but we have to reconstruct all the cultural
Your
heritage.
Excellency, there are millions of Buddhists in China. Please let them know that you need help, and I believe they will reach out to help rebuild the Buddhist facilities and temples in your country. A third thing that connects China with Nepal is the China-Nepal Railway. It is, of course, an important part of the infrastructure. But what functions will it perform in improving the livelihoods and the economy itself of Nepal?
Firstly, I want to make a little bit clear about the Buddhism and its influence and Buddhist people in China and their attraction towards Nepal. When for the first time I was Prime Minister in 2016, on the occasion of 16th birthday of Buddha, Lord Buddha, we organized an international seminar in Kathmandu and also in Lumbini, and we celebrated. That was a great event and grand event. And similarly, this time when I became again Prime Minister, we organized, and to organize that program, I immediately, within a very short period of time, within less than 1.5 months period, we constructed a convention hall for 3,000 people. And we have already started in Lumbini a convention hall for 5,000 people, another one. And we organized international seminar this time also. In this way, we are celebrating and attracting the people. And the most of the Buddhist monks were present from China at the international conference in 16 and also in 18, both times. So Chinese people are aware that the birthplace of Lord Buddha is Lumbini, is in Nepal. They know. And next you asked
the railway.
Yeah, about railway. Of course, sometimes if we do something new, then people say that why it is necessary, what contribution this project can make, but later on they know. Sometimes research works or some development works are simply people see, they think that unnecessary, but later on that creates, from the very beginning, from the survey, from the preliminary survey, that creates activation of mind, skill, knowledge, and creates job opportunity from that point. And that attracts other ideas, other businesses, other things. And we have already Kathmandu as a capital city where 4 or 5 million people live, and that is the center of Nepal, and that can be connected with great market of China, and we can produce. We have given the slogan now, production and productivity, as well as creation of job opportunities. So when export items are produced, because we are in very serious trade imbalance, to bring the trade into balance, we have to produce export items and consuming items ourselves. So railway can be a very fast and cheaper transportation and for goods, for people, etc.
What about the visa? Is it a lot easier for the Chinese to have the visa approval?
Yes, there is no problem.
No problem.
No problem.
How easy?
We have
the
visa fee already at previous my premiership when I was Prime Minister 2 years before, and when they apply, there is no problem. And for business people,
how many direct flights do we have between Kathmandu and Beijing, other first-tier cities?
According to the necessity, we can develop, we can increase the numbers of the flights, because there are so many. We have less aircrafts, but China have many aircrafts, so we can increase the number of aircrafts, and we are constructing new international airports like in Pokhara, like in Lumbini, like another in Nijgarh. We are developing, so there will be no problem. For Lumbini, at the birthplace of Buddha, from next year we will start.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency.